Poetry is motion. Poetry is emotion. Poetry is he motion. Poetry is her motion. Poetry is hurt motion. Poetry is heart motion. Poetry as...
Hello, I'm Stephen Pitters, and welcome to the Spokane Open Poetry Program here at KYRS Medical Lake Spokane 88.1 and 92.3 FM. Folks, you know who you are and you know who I am, so you know it's time for you to reset and enjoy some poetry, music, and at times prose here at KYRS Medical Lake Spokane 88.1 and 92.3 FM. Folks, you are listening to the Spokane Open Poetry Program on Thin Air Community Radio, and we are full power. We are on the stream at www.kyrs.org, where the young, the old, and the in-between share their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. My special guest today is Zach Hval. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
All right, and as folks know, the mission of the Spokane Open Poetry Program is to make available to poets, prose, musicians the opportunity to share their literary works and musical skills. But Zach, before we start, we have what's called the Thank You Minute. So is there anyone out there that you would like to give a shout out to?
Well, I'd like to say thank you to Mom and Dad for buying me my first acoustic guitar and helping me get on the path to singing.
All right. Well, before I forget, I would also like to give a shout out to Rebecca and Jessica from the Tri-Cities, and Charlie, my good buddy, down in Austin, and Karen here in Spokane. Those things having been said, before we get started, I'd like to read a poem I've been working on, dedicated to Karen. Vacation. A series of events strung together declare themselves history, like the unmistakable origin which tried to induce order and its worship. If followed and crowned, the impact leveled on the mind represses any sleight of hand, for what is perceived caresses infinitely more than two bodies in the surf rolling about on the shore, gladly grappling in the sand in disbelief. Surprise their offerings, or the inward unawareness showing itself without warning, like tattletale denouncing reason, which is a gallant exploit, owing to what is given is love making room for all the best in us, that we sincerely dispense, like a delicious fruit ripening, presenting itself, an unanticipated bounty in the brink of time, taking away what darkens, what obscures, like the dullness often mooring us. There is no paradox in giving, since love does not weigh error. If you are just tuning in, this is the Spokane Open Poetry Program here at KYRS Medical Lake Spokane 88.1 and 92.3 FM. So now it is time to let Zach take us on our journey this time. Zach, it is now your show.
Thank you. Well, I think I'll start off with one of the first tunes I ever wrote. It's a song called Dry Bones. I was talking to my friend Julio and I said, hey, what's the dealio? He said there's no need to be in denial. We all go through times of trial, like Ezekiel in the valley of dry bones. been walking so many miles of bad road, I fear my world will explode. Lord, I feel the heat falling from the senator's feet. He lost his name when he went searching for fame in the valley of dry bones. Dry bones, dry bones, dry bones, dry bones. I saw my friend Tim and I said, hey, my sword is in its sheath. He screamed back, hey, take a look, whose boots you're underneath. Fascistic tenor signs and the world pantomimes the meaning of the word slave. Dry bones, dry bones, dry bones, dry bones.
All right, Dry Bones. Whoa, whoo. Real, I mean, I felt I was back in the days, of the 70s and those times, and all those great folk musicians. So how did you happen to get into playing folk, Zach?
Well, I mean, I guess it's easily traceable. Actually, it's 100% traceable back to just before my freshman year of high school. We had a huge family get-together on my mom's side of the family. And so my Uncle David and I are kind of the musicians. And we got all the guitars, and I would play, back in the day I was doing the rock and roll stuff. So I was playing lots of Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And then I let him borrow my acoustic guitar, and he started spinning out all these old folk songs from the 1960s.
Here for the 1960s, folks.
And all the older people.
Excuse me.
Some of the cousins knew the words to the songs, and I was blown away by that. How relatable it was, and how easy it was to for a song like that to reach out and grab you. And I'd never experienced that before, and so I mean, I kind of didn't play electric guitar for like 6.5 months. I spent countless hours learning Bob Dylan songs and the acoustic Bob Dylan songs, and just getting those down.
All right. Now, your mom is
Cindy Hall.
Cindy Hall, and we know Cindy Hall, great author and so forth. And so I guess the old saying, like the apple doesn't fall from the tree type of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the acoustic guitar, how does it work for you?
Well, I sort of kind of an extension of my being. It goes beyond like a tool. It becomes a way to deliver the song. It's not only is it providing the harmonic structure for me, but it's part of the performance as much as the voice and the lyrics are, if that makes sense. It kind of drives it home for me, really.
Well, let's drive a little bit more.
Okay. Well, this is an older folk song that I picked up, and I don't know who wrote it. It's a song called Fare Thee Well, or it's sometimes performed as Dink Song, and I've been doing it for quite a year now, actually. If I had wings like Noah's dove. I fly up the river, up to the one I love. Fare thee well, oh honey, fare thee well. Early one morning, 'tis like rain in my heart. I felt an aching pain. Fare thee well, oh honey, fare thee well. Woman I love walks long and tall. She moves her body like a cannonball. Fare thee well, oh honey, fare thee well. One of these mornings won't be long. You'll call my name and I'll be gone. Fare thee well, oh honey, fare thee well. I had wings like Noah's dove. I fly up the river, up to the one I love. Fare thee well, oh honey, fare thee well.
Fare thee well. All right, folks, I'm going to step off to the side here and let you know, or at least remind you, that this is the Spokane Open Poetry program at KYRS, Medical Lake Spokane, 88.1 and 92.3 FM. And remember, if you'd like to be a guest, all you need to do is call 509-747-3807 and leave your name and number, or go on to the stream at www.kyrs.org and you'll find the Spokane Open Poetry program, and there's a link there that says you can get in touch with myself, the DJ. And another great thing that's happened of late is that we're archiving shows. So if you don't get to listen to the show at the time that it goes off, like on Saturdays, then you can just scroll down to the bottom of my webpage that's associated with KYRS. And when you pass the Black Lab, you will find the show archive there for at least a week thereafter. So again, we're trying to reach out to all our listeners and provide them with opportunities to stay in touch with the greatest radio station that we know of, which is Thin Air Community Radio. All right, but in the studio today we have Zach Haval, a young guitarist who is making his way. Before we came on the air, you're talking about some of your future plans, and share with us some of those.
Well, I just finished college. And so I plan to continue singing and playing every month, or as often as I can, and saving money, because eventually I would like to leave Spokane.
Oh.
I mean, it would be a hard thing to do, for sure. But I'd like to head down south to Nashville, Tennessee,
All right.
and try singing down there for a bit.
Well, that means we better make sure that we, hear some more from you, because you go down to Nashville and become a big country star, and then, it would be hard to get you back to come into the studio and share the wealth of your musical skills. But since we have you, we've got to roll. Now, on the desk in front of me, I see CDs.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell me a little about those CDs.
Well, I have two right now out. The first one is called The Kid in the Blue Jacket. It's kind of a nickname I had in high school because I always wore the same blue jacket every day.
Okay.
And that is 10 original songs of my own that I wrote pretty much while I was in a band and on my own. And then a second one just came out, and it's got 13 songs on it, so it's a little longer.
Okay.
And there's more originals on that one. It's a little bit more melancholy than
Okay.
the first one.
Well, maybe you play. You intend to play, one, the cuts from the any of
Yeah,
those?
the first song I did was off the first album.
Okay, let's make it happen.
All right, so I'll sing another one from the second album.
All right.
This is a song called She Was a Lady. Sitting in our house on a Thursday afternoon, playing cards, crimson hair falling in her face, while the wind softly knocks. She was the bravest of the brave, the truest of the true. She was a lady when I could not be a gentleman. She had my love, and I had her love too. She could level me with her eyes. She taught me how to see beauty in a silver streaming river. New day through a gray sky. She was the bravest of the brave, and truest of the true. She was a lady when I could not be a gentleman. She had my love, I had her love too. Those eyes like a lighthouse to guide me home, skin as soft as sand, so pure as snow, full of natural beauty. She was the bravest of the brave, and truest of the true. She had my love, I had her love too.
Nice ballad. Now, when you were writing this particular piece, I mean, how did it come to you?
Well, I mean, these songs, this isn't really something that I go and do. It's something that kind of sort of just happens. So, I mean, I could be driving down the street and something will pop into my head and without warning, so I'll have to pull over and write it down or just hum it until I can get home onto the piano or the guitar or something like that. But with that particular song, I had been listening to Pandora, and I had heard a song called, I believe it was Like a Thursday's Summer Eve by a blues guitar player from Texas, Townes Van Zandt, and it kind of had that sort of feeling and personification to it, and so I really liked that, and so I tried to do it myself.
Great rendition. I mean, it just really sprinkles. Okay, one of the things that again I always like gets me is um, of the two CDs that you have, were they written? What time of day were they written? Because I know, being a poet, some of my poems I write, or like when I write a book, a manuscript. Some of them I only write during the mornings. Others I write, deep into the night. Some, flip flops. It starts in one time of day and then it goes on. So, what happens? Like,
well, yeah, it's kind of like that for me too. I mean, mostly I guess it would be heavier on the nighttime. Some of these were written way late in the evening. I mean, so it just depends on what comes first. Either I'll have a melody or something like that, and then I'll add lyrics to it, or sometimes it's flipped. I'll have lyrics and I'll need to put a melody to it, which is my least favorite type of creativity because it takes so long to get these things made.
Well, that is true. It's the revision process, and I know that is the same with me it's like the piece I read, this morning. I put this together last night, based on actually a friend, gave me a compliment, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of nice. And then I started thinking, okay, how can I say thank you to this person, because the comment was like, whoa, it's like I like Stephen Pitters, because he's done this and that about poetry, and I was like, wow, that's kind of nice when your friends just kind of out of the blue just tells you, what they think about you positively,
Right.
and so it's like a way of saying, well, thank you for saying that, So I sat down and I started, writing this first draft, and so I'll go back to it and it's like revise and fine tune, polish the edges, type of thing like that. So as you said, that is the hardest part. When do you know that the piece is done?
Well, I don't know if they're ever truly done.
Okay.
I mean, every song I do that, at least that's recorded, is always completely different, both maybe lyrically and then just the way I play it. It's the song I open the show with that's a completely different arrangement than what I have on the record. So I'm always playing with them, and that way I can do these songs for literally forever, and they'll never get old to me, at least.
I had another guitarist on the show a while back, and that's the same thing he said. It's like you can make a song our new song just by twisting a little bit of the melody or going a little bit in this direction, make it faster, make it slower, all this sort of thing like that. So you're not always predictable, or the song doesn't get stale, type of thing like that. So it's really kind of those things. But that having been said, just to remind folks that this is the Spokane Open Poetry Program at KYRS, Medical Lake Spokane, 88.1 and 92.3 FM. I'm Stephen Pitters, your host. And in the studio with me is Zach Haval, our young guitarist, who is enchanting us with his artistic abilities, his guitar playing, and we are going to make sure we get as much out of him as we can. So we have about 6 minutes left, so you can roll with it. Roll out another few pieces for us.
Right. Well, this is a song called St. James Infirmary, and it's a really old blues song, and there's about 1,000 versions of it recorded, and this is my version. Down at old Joe's barroom in the corner of the square, they were serving drinks as usual, and the usual crowd was there. On my left stood Big Joe Kennedy, his eyes were bloodshot red. Well, he turned to the crowd around him. These were the very words he said: night I went down to that St. James Infirmary. I saw my lady there, stretched out on a long white table, so young, so cold, so fair. Well, let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. She can search this wide world over, never find a sweeter man than me. Well, now there's 17 cold black horses hitched to a rubber-tied hack. Well, there's 6 girls who've gone to the graveyard, and only 5 of them is coming back. Well, when I die, won't you please bury me in my high-top Stetson hat? Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain, and my gang will know I died standing pat. I want 6 crap shooters for pallbearers, a chorus girl to sing me away. Put a jazz band on my hearse wagon, raise hell as I roll along. Well, now that I've told my story, I'll take another shot of booze. And if anybody here will ask you, I got those gambler's blues. Well, let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. She can search this wide world over, never find a sweeter man than me.
Oh, St. James. Oh, great rendition. Woof. Oh. I said we now down to about 2 minutes. So I'm going to get one more song out of you that's 2 minutes or less.
Okay.
If possible. If not, we'll just say goodbye.
I guess I can do the abridged version
Okay.
of Since I Laid My Burden Down.
Okay.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. No more sickness, no more sorrow, since I laid my burden down. No more sickness, no more sorrow, since I laid my burden down.
Well, Zach, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I hope that, in your travels to Tennessee, you find that star.
Thank you.
All right. So for Zach Val, I'm Stephen Pitters, your host for the Spokane Open Poetry program here at KYRS Medical Lake Spokane, 88.1 and 92.3 FM. And we'll see you again real soon. Zach, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.